Hi, Dom.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
Not too much. Just kind of chilling today, and ready for our next movie talk.
Indeed, indeed. And today we're going to talk about the 2016 action movie, The Accountant. But before we get into that, Mike, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yep.
I've kind of been enjoying my day, so yep. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Glad I got to, if not in person, wish you a happy birthday face to
Well,
face.
yeah, thank you. It's appreciated, and I've had plenty of well wishings today, so thank you.
Awesome,
To one
awesome.
and all. But yeah, the accountant. So
Now that
give
the
us a little,
pleasantries are out of
yeah,
the way,
give us a lead
um,
in.
uh, first of all, let me point to the all-star cast. I cannot
Really,
believe how
yeah,
many names were attached to this.
yeah, yeah. The great John Lithgow. I mean, come on,
Oh yeah.
he makes every movie better. But yeah, go
So
ahead.
in The Accountant, Ben Affleck plays a forensic accountant, someone who uncooks the books. And so people will hire him if they think there is financial wrongdoing within their organization. He gets hired to come in, look over their numbers, and try and determine where money is going missing, basically. And somehow he's gotten a reputation for what's the word? Secretiveness,
Yeah,
discretion.
yeah,
He's gotten the reputation for discretion
yeah,
to the point where a lot of criminal organizations, drug cartels, gangs will bring him in because who else are you going to get? You're not going to get the standard forensic accountant.
yeah. He will not talk. He does his job. He's loyal to whoever he's doing the job for, and you can't ask for a better guy to go in and check out what's going on with your books, because very often, whether it's a company or a person that's just wealthy, somebody's playing around with their books. But yeah,
And so that discretion is his reputation, but in actuality, oh, getting fancy on me now.
that's right. We got a video going in the background. So
In actuality, if he is investigating a criminal organization, he will collect that financial information and send it to the government, to the was it the FBI? It was the FBI he was sending.
the Treasury Department, I believe.
Okay,
Yes. Yep.
Treasury Department.
Yep.
And so he gives evidence that will enable those organizations to take legal action against whoever he worked for.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got a moral code. He has a certain moral
A
code. And if you
very strong
a
code.
very, yeah, and let's get into the real thing here. This is a man who is a very, very high functioning autistic gentleman. And
Indeed.
like someone like Elon Musk, who is also genius IQ. And that's something we probably need to discuss a little bit, because
Oh, we're
um,
going to discuss it.
yeah,
It's a
it
major element of the film.
absolutely. And I actually, I mean, I've known a few people who are high functioning, a couple are in the family, and it's something that it's almost, dare I say, it's almost a gift in some ways, because it's, as much as it actually can hamper and even hold a person back, at the same time there are certain skills, there are certain gifts that you can bring to the table. Like this guy, his ability to work with numbers is something that most people would just, their eyes would roll back in their head. I mean, who knows? Someone like an Einstein could have been autistic. They talk about him like he was real forgetful. He wasn't socially, you know.
Well, so here's the
Yes,
thing. Like,
yeah,
since I come from a medical background,
yes,
and autism is technically a diagnosis,
yeah,
it's often a very hard thing to talk about. There's a reason they call it autism spectrum disorder,
Yes. Yeah.
because you can have someone high functioning.
Yeah.
In fact, they said, I got a list here. Um, Daryl Hannah, David Byrne,
Yes.
uh, they are sometimes suggested they have mild autism,
Yeah.
but it can also go to the other end of the spectrum and make someone almost incapable of
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
living
bad end
anything
of it. Yeah.
resembling a normal life.
Yeah. 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 So there's all levels. But it sometimes with the high functioning ones, it's often associated also with a high IQ. So there's certain things. So it's, yeah, you can be at the, the bad levels where you're really not functioning. And this guy here actually was not functioning well when he was younger. It's I guess thanks to his father who pushed him brutally, but maybe a little too brutally. But at the same time, he looked at his kid like, I've got to prepare this guy for the world, and the world, like he said in the doctor's office, he said the world is not like, because he was saying, well, it's, there's light sensitivity and there's this and that, and he's like, the world is full of lights, and you have to like learn to live in that world.
And
So
that's one of the parts I really like about the film, is how during the movie it goes back and forth
yeah.
from present day to what he was like growing up as a child.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was not very functional at all growing up.
No, 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 not at all. I mean, you can see in some of the scenes behind me, for anyone that has not seen the movie, you can see him at the start, and he is not doing well. What you see the scenes as a kid. I mean, he screams. He's, any little thing will offset him, and he'll go into a almost a fit where he's needs to be calmed down. And so, yeah, he's not doing well at the start. And this is him as a child. So, like I said, it does show the different aspects of it, and then it also shows what he managed to
Mhm.
through a lot of care and a lot of some of it was a little bit more brutal care from his father, but his father loved him dearly. He just had a hard way of, guy was army, and he wanted to train him in self-defense, which he did. And because this guy is not just an accountant, he's
Oh
also
no.
he's got some very serious skills. This is
So
not a guy you want to mess with, but keep going.
so so during the course of the movie, there are two competing storylines.
Yes.
His history of sending financial evidence into the Treasury Department has not gone unnoticed. And so one part of the story are these agents trying to track him down and find out who he is.
Yeah.
Another part of the story, oddly, this is kind of the funniest part of the movie, is that he works with like drug cartels and criminal organizations, and he takes a break. He sent in evidence that heats things up for him a bit. And so he has to take a break and take on a normal accounting job. And that accounting job he takes becomes one of his most dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, and there's a lot of, again, this is another movie we always say, we're spoiler alert. Our whole thing is that we talk about the film, we break it down, we review it, we kind of act like critics in some ways, even though we're certainly not. We're just amateurs that enjoy movies and love movies. But if you haven't seen this movie, it's a great movie to see. I think both of Dom and I, we won't even bother getting into that. We both love this movie, so we won't even get into the whether it's one thumb up or two thumbs up. I think we both unequivocally will agree it's two thumbs up at least. So so
This
yeah.
movie was a lot like the Lego movie for me, in that I just stumbled over this,
Yeah.
went in expecting nothing, knew nothing about this movie,
Yeah.
and it just blew me away.
Dude, I had the same situation. I happened to catch the movie on some channel where I saw it for free, and I was like, I love this movie. I immediately bought it on, on Voodoo. It's definitely been, I was glad you chose it because it gave me a chance to rewatch it again. Fun time.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you've got a lot of action sequences. I would put this solidly in the action genre,
yeah,
but then there's a ton of math in it.
yeah.
This guy demonstrates such an odd dichotomy
Oh yeah,
of like being able to take on three guys with his bare hands,
oh
and
yeah,
then
easily.
like sit down with ledgers, financial ledgers, and figure out the past 20 years of a company.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's this movie gives you so much because on the one hand, you've got the scene behind you, and then the scene behind me.
Hmm.
The scene behind me is he gets into a knife fight, pulls his belt out, and uses his belt as a weapon, which I loved. Um,
Hmm.
and the scene behind you with Anna Kendrick, they are both geeks and nerds, and she's an awkward nerd herself. I don't think they never said, and I don't think she had anything where she was on the spectrum. However, she's definitely a nerdy girl and very cute, very kind, loving girl, but very much a nerd too. And always felt awkward all her life. She tells a very sweet story about trying to get a dress so that she can impress people at her high school prom because she does
Do you
feel like a
remember how
nerd.
she got that dress?
Yes, that go ahead and tell the story, but yes,
So,
great
so,
story.
so Anna Kendrick's character, Dana Cummings,
Yes.
is telling Affleck's character, Christian Wolf, about trying to get a Vera Wang dress,
Yeah,
and in order to afford it, learning blackjack and counting cards.
right. And learning it to a high degree where she actually where she actually feels she can actually win. Uh
Did you know that Ben Affleck himself in real life has been banned from several casinos
no, I did not know that. No.
for counting cards?
Wow, really? Huh.
Yeah, evidently he's really good at it.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things that I heard I'm getting off track from what I was gonna say, but there were some critiques which kind of irritate me about Hollywood sometimes nowadays. But they basically were saying, well, why didn't you cast somebody that was autistic? He did a great job portraying the role. I don't think you need to have a drug addict to play a drug addict in a film. I and yes, if you do have somebody that's highly qualified and wins the part that is happens to be autistic, that's great. But I don't think it hurt the film at all, and I don't think it hurt autistic people by not casting somebody. It highlighted the issue in a lot of ways that I think was very positive. So yeah, if they could have found an autistic person, more power to them, and that would be great. But he did a wonderful job, and I often think when I look at his face, that he's kind of like a person that's a lot of times is expressionless. So he fit the part in many ways. But I just got to get back to this because
Okay, yeah.
this scene here is where she's really trying to connect with him in her own nerdy little way and her own awkward way. And of course, he is completely awkward, like eats his lunch alone. He's nervous when she moves from the upper seats to down right next to him. And he's immediately, you can see he's uncomfortable. He moves his sandwich. Everything's, oh no, here she comes. Now I got to talk. And she tells a story about her father and how her father wore a pocket protector and was a nerd. He opens his jacket and shows his pocket protector, which I thought was hilarious.
Hmm.
And she's like, "Whoa, that's a really nice pocket protector." But he comes off so awkward with her, and in many ways, it looks like he's insulting her almost. He's being sarcastic to the point where she pulls away and stops talking. And later in the movie, and I think it's probably one of the sweetest scenes in the movie, but they actually sit down and talk to each other, and he starts telling her, "I'm a high functioning autistic." And as soon as he says that, you see the light bulb go off in her head, and she realizes, wow, this is why he's reacting like this. And immediately you can see her moving closer, and it's a real sweet moment. It's probably one of the sweeter moments of the movie. So this movie's got everything. It's got a little bit of romance going on, and all this action.
A sliver of romance.
Well, a sliver, but just enough that it makes the movie really nice. So yeah,
So I didn't know when we were going to get into this, but if you're bringing up the autism thing
yes,
right now,
why
let's
not?
just say um, I liked his portrayal. I liked the movie's portrayal
Yes,
of
yeah,
autism. But wow, what a touchy thing. If
yeah,
you're writing a book, making a movie, and you've got an autistic character, a mentally ill character,
yeah,
a transgender character,
yeah,
um,
whatever, yeah,
almost anyone that's like a little outside
yep,
the mainstream of society, you're really taking a risk.
sure,
You're risking offending a lot of people.
yeah, a
And,
lot of groups,
and I
yeah,
can see that. I've seen offensive portrayals
yes, yeah,
of different people before. So it's something I even wrote a novel with a transgender character in it. And I'm like, I'm worried to actually let anyone read it because
right, right.
I don't
There's
know.
always, yeah, there's always going to be someone that's going to be offended, or, and my feeling, and I don't want to get too much into some of this, but my feeling on a lot of this stuff is, as long as you're not making people feel offended, or in the way of being deliberately offensive, if you're trying to actually just showcase something, to me, as long as you're making the attempt to do an honest, factual portrayal, then to me, you're not hurting things. You're probably helping things in the long run. I mean, I'm sure there's people that learn more about autism that maybe thought to themselves, "Oh, an autistic person," and use an offensive word like, retarded or something, like was used back in the '60s and whatever. I mean,
Heck, the 80s.
yeah, sure, the '80s. Yeah, we grew up, I mean, just routinely throwing that word around.
Yep.
But I mean, that one of the things you called a kid on the playground is, "Oh, retard." It was, an offensive word that people threw around. But like I said, I just feel that people need to be, and of course the internet feeds some of the stuff, and again, I don't want to get too far into it, other than I just think that honest attempts to portray something in an accurate way helps and educates the public. So if you've got characters that actually are portraying some of those fringe elements and doing it in a positive way, it's not hurting, it's helping. So don't be so quick to tell somebody, "Oh, you did this or that." It's like, okay, we learn from stuff, but
And not
anyway,
just the general public. Like after I watched this movie, I started going online and reading uh, autistic blogs, the subreddit autism. I
yeah,
wanted to know what people who had been diagnosed on the spectrum thought about
yeah,
that because
yeah,
I think that's almost more important.
sure, sure,
And wow, I was shocked at how positive they felt
yeah,
about this movie.
yeah.
I read so many times how good it felt for them to feel represented.
Yeah. Well, I'm not always a huge fan of Ben Affleck. I think he's done well in certain roles, and I'm not criticizing him, but he's not my favorite actor. But I thought he was phenomenal in this. And if this was the only movie he ever did, I would have put him down as like, oh my God, that guy was so good, because he was.
Mhm.
He was
Mhm.
perfect for the role. I think the way his face is very, it's a very passive, unexpressionless face. It's if that's a word. But but anyway, yeah, like I said, I just dug him in the role. I thought he was great. I thought Anna Kendrick, another time where, you made the comment first, but the idea of someone that, comes into a movie and plays, a rather smaller part, but my God, Anna Kendrick was fantastic in this, and added a lot to it. So yeah, like I said, I just, I can,
I
The background players were perfect.
I read a bit of an interview with
Yeah,
the director, Gavin O'Connor, of
right.
this movie. And he said he was impressed with how committed Affleck was to this role,
Yeah.
including doing a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah, I thought I noticed, it's hard to tell sometimes in old movies. I was actually just watching an old Western, Five Card Stud, the Dean Martin Western, and there were some fight scenes, and Dean Martin is in the fight scenes, and you can clearly see, without even pausing or slowing down the movie, you would clearly see it wasn't a stuntman. I mean, it was a stuntman, it wasn't him. And yeah, I did seem to notice that he actually seemed to be in the movie, like in the scenes. So it's refreshing when someone is that into it that they're actually taking some personal risks. There's the Treasury man, and
Yeah. So J.K. Simmons
yes,
playing Ray King of the U.S. Treasury.
yeah, another great job. And I loved, what was her name in the movie? I can't even.
Her name was Mary Beth Medina.
Okay, yep,
Her actual name is Cynthia Adai Robinson.
yeah, I can't really think of other roles she's been in, but I really liked her in this. I loved her in this, and
She's
she
been
kind of got
on
blackmailed.
TV.
What's that?
She's been on TV more than movies. She was in
Okay,
Star Trek Into Darkness, but
okay,
she was also on Spartacus, the CW show Arrow,
okay.
and she's currently, I believe, in Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. So that's cool. She does have more roles that I'll have to check into, but yeah, she kind of gets. He kind of blackmails her. Well, he
Yeah.
does. Let's put it. Let's actually say it for what it is.
Yeah.
He finds when he needs somebody, he knows she's a very efficient, very confident agent out there. He's seen her at work, so he knows she's going to be good for the job. But he pulls up her information, and he has found some stuff in her past that was supposed to be sealed records. And of course, we all know that if the government wants to get at your sealed records, they mean nothing. But anyway, he uncovers that she actually had been arrested and weapons charge. She lied about some felonies that she had that were, I guess, expunged, but at the same time, they were on her record, and she lied that she had ever committed a felony. So that's a capital offense. You cannot do that when you work for the government. That's
I mean, he ultimately does her a huge favor. He
Oh, he
boosts
does.
her career to an
Yes,
incredible degree, but you're right. He uses
he,
blackmail to do
he
it.
uses blackmail, but ultimately, in the end, he's a good dude. He actually is a
Mhm.
good dude, and he did mean that he wanted her to be motivated. So he basically told her, "You need to do this, or maybe there'll be another picture in your portfolio," which was the arrest one. So she's highly motivated to do this, but she's highly skilled also, and she goes to work and she helps him find what he needs to find, which is Ben Affleck. So, but and then what about Ben Affleck's brother in the movie? Um, we haven't even
Oh man,
gotten to
I
that yet.
love this guy.
I,
Almost every actor on cast I have loved in what they've done.
well, I'll tell you what, and this is something I was going to say. I'm usually not a fan of this guy. He's been in a lot of movies. And let me just say this: I am not a fan, but I am a fan in the sense that I think he plays a great bad guy. And whenever he plays a bad guy, I I really
Mike,
like what he's doing because he irritates me somehow. But go ahead.
have you seen him in the Disney Plus Punisher?
You do is it no, not the Disney Plus one. I
Oh,
saw, yeah, I saw on
okay.
Netflix.
Do yourself a favor.
Okay.
Get on Disney Plus. Watch his Punisher. He
Okay.
is amazing in it.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I'll check that out. I hated the guy in Walking Dead. I hated his role in that.
Oh yeah, I don't watch Walking Dead,
Yeah,
so
yeah, he played Shane, I believe his character was, and everything he did in that pretty much was, and he was basically an asshole. And there's a scene, and it's. Have you ever heard the old joke about if you two people running away from a bear, and I don't need to run faster than the bear, I need to run faster than you
yeah,
because the bear is going to catch you. Well, he does that same analogy. He's trying to get out of a place with a bunch of zombies, and there's a fat dude, and not only, and he gets hurt himself. So the two of them are trying to run off, and of course he's hurt and he's limping, and the fat guy's actually outpacing him. So, and I can say fat because I'm fat. But anyway, so anyway, he turns around and he shoots the fat guy in the knee, and the zombies catch him, and of course now he can get away. And that's the kind of guy he was in Walking Dead, and he was perfect for the role because I couldn't stand him. And at the point when he finally gets killed, you're like, yes, finally he took this asshole out. So most of the time when I see him in a role, he's playing a bad guy that I just want to see killed, but he's good at that. And um, and in this one, he played a little bit of a mixed bag
yep,
because he's a bad guy, but he also really loves his brother Ben Affleck,
yep.
and actually, it's almost a little bit heartwarming when they have when they reunite, because even though they're completely at odds, it's that's actually a really comedic moment. But yeah, so like I said, I love hate him in this one, um, and
And by the
I
way, this is John Bernthal.
okay,
Just to
yeah,
name the actor that you hate.
yes, yes, put a name to my hate. Um, but yeah, like I said, I really enjoy seeing him in roles, but I just prefer to see him as a bad guy because something about him, it almost comes off irritating, and unless I see him in a, or even when I see him in a bad guy role. But it's like a love hate thing because I love to hate him, you know. So, but yeah, he's good at what he does. He's a good actor, so not disparaging him in that sense. But and there is the scene, by the way, at the end of the movie when she actually has her promotion, and she is actually uh, given the she's given the honor of not only the promotion but to take credit for what has been done, and finding out, you know, the criminals that were lurking in the behind the scenes area. And she also, instead of just taking total credit, she gives credit uh, to all her fellow agents, which the bald headed dude there, what's his name? He's in the background, like, because that was his agent, and he's the one that was responsible for pushing her forward. So it's a great movie, and now The Accountant too.
Yes.
Want
Yeah,
to talk about that?
sure. So The Accountant 2 is set to be released this coming April.
Cool,
I,
cool.
I believe it's going to have almost the exact same cast. I mean, with the exception of John Lithgow.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, for him. I mean, uh, but but yeah, this movie. Now another thing, talking about, like, because Anna Kendrick has to be in this, right? She's definitely in the sequel.
No, no.
Oh, not.
It's Affleck, Bernthal,
Yep.
J.K. Simmons, and so the Treasury agent and the FBI agent, Cynthia Adai Robinson.
Yep.
But I don't see Kendrick, and it's not
No,
like
she
she was
wasn't.
with him at the end.
No, she wasn't crucial. No, no, not at all. He does gift her his he does gift her his painting, and
Yeah,
that actually was really, humorous. When when you have um, paintings just all around your camper and home that
and,
are
and
actually
not just any
and
painting.
yeah, Jackson Pollock painting on his ceiling. And she looks up at it and she's like, is that so yeah. Now this is now another scene that I really loved, this one with her, but I hate it when movies, there it is, there's the Jackson Pollock. And what a cool painting that he gifts her with at the end of the movie,
Gives it to her.
behind the dogs playing poker, which
Yep.
when she was trying to talk to him, uh, she's talking about how, I think it was her father, she said, actually loved stuff like dogs playing poker, and he goes, I love that, the dichotomy. But so yeah, he a comedic thing when he sends the painting, there's a dogs playing poker in front of it, and it's deliberately torn so that she will look behind it and find the Jackson Pollock. But this scene behind me, I love this scene. They send guys to kill her, and the previous one I just had up where he was coming in with a silenced pistol to try to stop the hitman from killing her. They have already gotten into her apartment. They're two delivery men. They make the joke about, oh, we could have brought a smaller box, when they realize how tiny she actually is.
Yep.
And they're complete assholes, of course. So they're coming in and she hides herself in the bathroom. And one of the guys is kicking in the door. And I love this scene because I love seeing people make use of everyday objects. I often will watch a movie and you see people that they look like they're just frozen there, like this, waiting for the criminal to come get them. And it's like, there's a lamp right next to you. It's a heavy lamp. Take that and bash it over the guy's head. Grab anything you possibly can, a chair, a side table, anything you can to defend yourself with. There's all kinds of a pen.
Yeah,
Take a pen.
everything's a weapon if you use it right.
Absolutely. You took martial arts. You know what I'm talking about. They tell you to use whatever is at your disposal. Don't just stand there like a victim. And this girl does not do that. She takes the top off of the toilet and she batters that guy's hand. I mean, she probably would have gotten killed because she's defenseless at the end. And she's hiding in the shower when the guy finally finds her and he's got a gun. But so yeah, he probably would have got her had Ben Affleck not come in, but she did a damn good job of at least trying.
Yeah.
And put a hurt on them. So I have to give full credit to the way this movie was done. Don't just stand there.
They did not paint her as a damsel in distress.
Not at all. She was fighting right to the end. So yeah, like I said, I love it when, victims are not victims. They're at least trying to fight. Yeah, if you go down, at least go down fighting, So
Now you mentioned fighting.
yes.
And Ben Affleck's character, did you recognize any of his moves?
You mean the form?
Yeah.
No, I mean, what was
He was
it?
trained in a style I've never even heard of.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
It's
I
an
would have.
Indonesian martial art.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it
It's
was
called-
it was
It's
a little
called
different.
Pencak Silat.
It's called what now?
Pencak Silat.
Okay. All right. Yeah, never heard of it. And I've heard of a lot of
Well, same here.
martial. Yeah. Oh, I know you have. Dom, if anyone does not know it, Dom trained for many years in martial arts and is quite good at it, actually. I mean, I don't know how active.
Was.
Yeah, well, you're not as
Been
active now.
years.
Yeah, you're not as active now, but yes, Dom was highly skilled, and you never totally lose that. That's just something that it's for Dom. I'm sure he's a little bit less active in that, but
No,
still,
much.
yeah. But he does know his stuff, and he Kempo karate, Kempo kung fu, among other things, different forms of jujitsu and everything else. So Dom is pretty skilled. So, but anyway, yeah. So that is something I never heard of as far as a technique, but it looked good in the movie. I don't know how effective it is in real life.
That was the art they used in The Raid.
Okay.
That movie,
Yeah.
I mean, that's total nonstop action.
Well, yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I wouldn't mind doing doing that for a movie.
Yeah, well, I
But
mean, we'll get to it at some point.
yeah, yeah, we've definitely got to do more martial arts.
Mhm.
I don't know how interested we'll keep people, not that we always do anyway, but with something that would be like a more, I'd like to maybe do some more like earlier Chinese martial arts movie. Those those are fun.
Drunken Master.
Drunken Master. Oh man. So yeah, Dom and I both growing up. Dom's my nephew, but we're pretty close in age. And just growing up, we watched a lot of martial arts movies together. A lot of late Saturday nights. You know, just watching like a trilogy or something like that on
I don't
TV.
know how many times I've seen the Five Deadly Poisons.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. There were certain ones that like back in the Saturday night viewings, they or Friday night viewings, they would rerun certain ones over and over again. But you'd just be like, oh man, uh, you know, they're playing this one again. And by the way, talking about techniques and things, this is another scene that I really enjoyed. This farmer that Ben Affleck saves his farm by giving him a lot of and I hate the way we overtax people sometimes, especially the more working class people, farmers and things like that. And we don't give them the outs that they probably could use that would otherwise maybe save their farm. And Ben Affleck, as their accountant, he actually
He rescued them.
he rescued them because he gave them the legitimate tax breaks that they were not using, such as using their pickup truck, which they bought goods and hauled them back and forth. He used that as a deduction. He said that's not your pickup. That's your corp or your farm corporation vehicle. So he used it as a tax deduction. And by the time he got through, they had enough that they were able to make enough of a profit they weren't going to go under. So they offered him the use of his of their farm in order to fire his weapon, which I'm not sure how familiar you are with that particular rifle that he has there, Dom.
I
But
was going to ask you if you knew what that was.
I do, and I fired one before.
Nice.
If you fire one, you often, for me, I didn't ever need to fire one again. It's it fires a 50 caliber cartridge that's almost a foot long, maybe I don't know 8-10 inches. Not quite. I think they listed it as a. I can't remember. There was a term they used when they found because there's another scene where they are using the 50 cal, and somebody calls it something like anti-aircraft rounds or so. And like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it that, but the 50 caliber is used in all kinds of different weapons, including the Barrett sniper rifle, which has been heavily
the
used.
Barrett M82A1M.
Yes. Yep, the military designation for that rifle. It's a very, very powerful sniper rifle.
Oh, insane.
It will clearly take your head off. It's not
What,
something, there's not even a second thought.
when I was reading about bloopers in the movie, they said that when he shoots those guys at the farm, there's a small spray of blood and they drop, when in actuality,
yeah,
their heads would just have almost
discharge.
disintegrated.
Yeah. I mean, I actually have seen a couple of pieces of footage of Afghanistan snipers taking guys out, and like one sniper against another sniper, and you actually will see either a head rolling off if they're hitting the neck, because it'll sever their head from the neck, or just a head explode and there's nothing left. I mean, you don't see anything else. It's gone.
It's an insanely powerful weapon, and he's really not that far away from them for a sniper rifle.
Well, and you know, as much as, and again, not to get into anything too much, but as much as we get into arguments of, oh, like, you know, weapons of war for like banning the AR, I'd be much more disturbed about a guy who was good with something like this and in a very secure spot that was hard to take out. That this weapon here, um, for a good sniper, he could cause devastation. That's unbelievable with this weapon. It's it's nothing. The AR is like a toy gun compared to what this is. And
Oof.
when you fire this weapon, it's so powerful. When you fire it, all you can feel is shock waves coming out. I mean, if you're standing next to the weapon, like like the sniper's sighter,
Mhm.
if you will feel the impact of that weapon, it's unbelievably powerful. Very cool to fire. I know a few people who own them because they are legal to own.
Wow,
Uh,
I can't even imagine. Oh, how much do they cost? Do you know? I'm
um,
curious.
the real Barrett is probably up there around 5-6 thousand. I could be
That's
wrong.
it?
It could be higher, but even there's knockoffs that are not the original Barrett, but something very similar, and even those are in the like 3, 4, $5,000. So it's not something that just the average Joe can buy for cost wise. But if you got the money, you can own one. You're going to pay probably $15-$20 a round for the damn thing because it's because it's believe me, you're talking something that's as big around as that. If I can actually and probably that long. It's
Yeah.
it's a big round, a tremendous amount of powder. And you do if you're the average shooter, like because I enjoy shooting at the range, and I love long range shooting. We do it with 22s, shoot clay pigeons, at the range. But and that's fun just because it's kind of a little skill. But anyway, with something like this, you fire this gun and you're like, I'm done. At least for me, that's what my experience was. I enjoyed it. It was cool, but I don't need to own one. I don't need to fire it, but it's cool. It's cool as hell. If you've never fired one, you get the chance. Sure, take the person up
I
on it.
get the chance. I don't see myself ever getting the
Yeah.
chance.
Well, and at the same time, it's not like you didn't miss out. It's like I said, most people, even just watching it be fired. I've seen people that watched the gun being fired and go, I don't need to shoot it, but it's cool because it is cool. But yeah, there's some really neat sniper scenes in this too. So this movie's got so much. Um, it's it's a fun movie. You will have a good time watching it. Um, and that I believe, speaking of weapons, I believe that's a Glock. It's got a lot of hardware on it.
Yeah, it had so much. It looked like it had so many modifications. I didn't.
it did, and so actually I own Glocks, and it actually makes. But that magazine looks like a Glock mag, and just the square frame of the slide on top looks like it is a Glock with a lot of additions. But and
And
that's
so,
bent.
any gun fans out there that know what this is, and we're
Yeah,
getting it wrong, let us know.
yeah, absolutely. You're always because I like I said, I like my guns. I enjoy shooting them, just purely for target shooting. But yeah, like I said, I'm no gun expert either. So I may talk a big game, but I don't really. I'm not a gun expert at all. So correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, and Dom, Dom, any insights on this movie? Any special trivia that you can think of that would be?
There's a few things. I discovered through reading. I discovered that when Affleck's character, when Christian Wolf shoots someone, he does two to the chest, one to the head.
Yes, yes.
That's called the Mozambique drill.
Well, it's also the way our military usually and cops usually teach shooting technique, because even though a lot of movies will get stuff wrong with it's like and I hear people sometimes saying stuff like, well, why didn't the cop shoot him in the hand or shoot him in the leg? Well, it's, you know, if you get into a firefight, and I've never been in a firefight, but I just know from handling weapons, it's hard enough shooting the guns when you've got plenty of time at the range. When you have somebody aiming something back at you or they're coming at you fast, um, believe me, it's hard to hit people. You see cops missing all the time. And to shoot somebody in the hand or the leg, good luck with that. So it's two in the chest, which is the biggest part of the anatomy, and one in the head. And the two in the chest is because that's your broadest target. And then finish them off with a headshot. So,
Well, the reason that got started is
yeah.
because body armor became more common.
Mhm.
And so people were finding they would do center mass shots and it
Yeah.
wouldn't have much effect.
Yeah. Yep. And that's gotten even, it only gets worse because body armor is readily available to even the general public. And cops are coming up against more and more criminals that actually are wearing it. And not only that, but it, even the head is often protected well too. So, I mean, Kevlar helmets and beyond. There's better helmets than just simple Kevlar. But so the picture I have behind me,
Mhm.
I had to subject you and everyone else to this because this is probably one of the harder scenes in the movie to actually watch. You want to go ahead and explain some of this, or
Yeah, I used to do this at the studio that
yeah,
I trained at. It's so dumb because so what you do is you take a like a rolling pin
yeah,
basically, and you roll up and down your shins with the goal to be to toughen them up,
yeah,
basically to maybe get some scar tissue over them and have that be some natural padding, as well as just plain being used to having your shins abused and in pain.
Does it actually like help with shin splints?
No,
No, yeah, it probably makes it worse. But
I don't know if it affects it one way or the other, but like there's no practical reason. I mean, if someone out there has evidence that I'm wrong, let me know. But as
well,
far as I've seen, it
well,
doesn't really do anything.
there's an old thing. It's an old belief that and this goes back like boxers, and so I'm sure martial artists have the
Yeah,
same philosophy. But like Muhammad Ali, and this, who later suffered from Parkinson's from headshots, fighting he fought some of the toughest guys. Ali was, I mean, he was the greatest when you talk about overall boxing skills and career. But he believed that when he sparred, that it toughened him up the more he got hit, body and head. And so he took a lot more abuse than he necessarily probably should have. And that the same thing, and I'm sure you encountered that with martial arts training. The idea is the more you get hit, the more your body abuse your body takes, the more ready you are in a fight. And you do take a lot of shots to the shins. Now, the reason why we're all talking about this, in case anybody has gotten lost, is there are two or three scenes with Ben Affleck. And again, part of it is his autism, good part of it. But it's also because he did take martial arts training. He uses a rolling pin or something similar on his shins, and he puts on music and lights, and it's the idea is he's trying to like work
sensory
him.
overload.
Yes, and which is something that when he was younger triggered him, and so this helps him, or he feels it helps him to make him overcome this. But those are probably the hardest scenes. There's one in particular where he's really upset and he's actually beating his leg with the wooden device, and I'm like, "Hey, please stop." So I will take this picture off because it's hard to watch. But
Do you, do you know the
yeah,
movie that the picture behind me is from?
I actually was just thinking that was Anna Kendrick, but
It's Anna
what,
Kendrick.
yeah, but what, and yeah, I didn't see her fire a gun. So what is that movie?
That's her in the movie Mr. Right with Sam
Okay,
Rockwell.
okay. I actually, I have to confess, I have not seen the movie.
So
So yeah,
it's not a great movie. It's a
yeah,
guilty pleasure movie, mainly because I love Sam Rockwell.
sure,
But it's on Tubi for free. Last I saw,
right.
and that's where I watched it. I saw it. I'm describing it to Lisa, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds fun. Let's see it." So I watched it again with her.
Right.
And Anna Kendrick handling a gun is what made me think of The Accountant.
Well, and you were talking about the gun scenes and the two in the chest, one in the head. That was another thing that I liked with this movie. Um, and Hollywood's gotten a little bit better at this than they were in the
Yes.
past,
Well, not
but
always.
not always. But well, here's what I was going to point out, and that is the Endless magazine. And it's not a, by the way, it's not a clip, it's a magazine. A clip is something that was used in World War II to feed World War II weapons. They popped out and they were called clips. That's not what a magazine is. But anyway, um, they actually stop and change the magazines in this movie. And they did it on several occasions when they were firing rounds. And magazines, as much as we go on about guns, the magazines run out of rounds pretty quickly and you have to change them. And if you don't change them, you're out of bullets. So,
And if you don't keep track of how many bullets you fired, you got to ask yourself if you feel lucky.
exactly, because that's a huge thing right there. But yeah, and that's another thing is we got to do a Dirty
We
Harry
got to
one
do a Dirty Harry movie.
for sure, for sure. Now this scene behind me, you can't even see what he's got in his plate because I'm blocking it. However, that was one of the things, and with his autism, the house that he lived in, and he bought the house with money because he has a lot of money put aside. And the house that he bought, he has one plate, he has one fork, one knife, one spoon, and he's very much, his autism leads him to just do things in a very set way that makes him happy and keeps him balanced. And this is actually a scene in his home. But yeah, like I said, there were so many cool things with it. I love how when the Treasury Department breaks into his house to try to figuring they found him, he had all the cameras set up for one thing, which was great. And and they're like, well, what's he doing for the front yard? And then they show I don't even know what that was, some kind of big chain gun to guard the front yard. And it's like, well, that's
Yeah,
what
that's something that's supposed to be mounted on a helicopter, it looked
yeah,
like.
yeah, that was some, yeah, that's exactly, it probably was something that you would find probably in a Black Hawk helicopter or something. It was that was that was heavy rounds there, although those were probably 50 cals too. But yeah, again, like I said, this is a fun movie. People, if you haven't seen the movie and we haven't spoiled it for you, and spoiler alert, this is a movie to see. It's just a good movie.
Yeah, it gets mixed reviews. So
But
I don't get it because I think
I
it's a
don't either.
really great movie.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, you picked one that I would never disparage. I love this movie, and I mean, like I said, I really, I mean, I can't even find any real serious flaws with how it was filmed or things that they did. It was, I mean, nothing is totally believable in a Hollywood film, but my God, I thought they did a terrific job with
I,
everything.
I've got one complaint
Yeah.
about this film, and that's the names of the characters.
Okay.
Christian Wolf. Come on.
I love Christian Wolf for a name.
Ray King, Braxton,
Yeah.
Mary Beth Medina. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Well, I loved it every time he said Mary Beth Medina. He loved to say her full name, and that I found humorous. because it was, he'd say, "So, Mary Beth Medina." But yeah, I mean, like I said, I no, I found this truly enjoyable. I loved the humor that was in it, and
Yep.
I certainly loved the action that was in it. That was great. This is the scene. What a creepy hallway too. The
Hmm.
apartment she lived in, but she's heading back to her apartment, and you can't see them here, but there's guys that are trailing her, and actually the guys who are trailing her that she's very aware of are actually just hall guys. The guys that she was actually enter her apartment are two pretty normal looking delivery guys until they get inside and make the statement, "Well, we could have used a smaller box." Uh, but yeah, like I said, completely enjoyable. There's more of Mary Beth Medina.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the further adventures of Mary Beth
Yes,
Medina and Christian Wolf.
yeah. Well, that's because I had heard, that's the reason I asked you. I figured you probably did your research, but I had heard that the accountant too was definitely coming and on the way.
Yep, it's
So,
going to be out April 2025, and work has already begun on The Accountant 3.
oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could easily see as long as they do it before Ben Affleck gets too much older, because he'll be using a walker and accounting three if they keep delaying it. When was this one made? This was,
This is 2016.
yeah.
And
So
in fact, this one, the script for this movie got put on the blacklist, which is a famous list for great scripts that didn't get made into movies.
wow,
And it
wow,
was on that in 2011.
huh, huh, wow.
These
Well,
things take time.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I don't mind waiting for a movie if it's done well. My big worry is when they wait too long and then the actors that would otherwise have been able to be in the movie are either no longer available, too old, or have died. But yeah, this one just, I thought the pacing was perfect in this. There was never a time when you looked at it and you said, oh, this movie's dragging, or it should be shorter, or whatever. It was wonderfully paced. It's a terrific film. So,
Yep.
yep, easily two thumbs up. We
Easily.
totally agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we kind of,
Covered it.
we covered it. We talked this one through, and I am actually going to throw out my next movie now because
Let's hear it.
I kind of like, um, so it's the movie that I'm picking is Life After Beth.
I know I've heard of it.
Okay, it's Aubrey Plaza as the main star, and oddly enough, it also stars, or also has, Anna Kendrick. And I actually don't even, it's been a while since I've seen it. So I don't even fully remember the exact part she played in it, but which is sad, but I don't. But anyway, so it's Aubrey Plaza is probably the main star. So yeah, check it out. If
Looking
anyone who
forward
has
to it.
not seen it, that if you're still watching us now, um, but check the movie out, and we'll be talking about that next week. So yeah, that's what I've got to say about that. As they said in life is like a box of chocolates. But
Well, I'm
Forrest
looking
Gump.
forward to it.
Cool. So yeah, that's my pick, and I'm sticking with it. So yeah, Life After Beth. But and I think it's kind of fitting because we are getting deep into September, and it's starting to get around near Halloween. I mean, it won't be too much longer before we're in
We're getting into
October.
spooky season.
That's right. So I'd like to kick it off with a comedy horror movie that involves zombies. So Life After Beth. And Dom, having said all of that, I think we can say, please, for our audience, if you're still listening, still watching, please like and subscribe. We really need the support. Uh, Feel free, please make comments, even if you're going to throw us some negative comments. I mean,
Yeah, you don't have to agree with us.
you don't have to agree with us. You know, if you, you know, you want to say, hey, I hate your haircut guy on the right, but whatever you have to say, throw it out there. You know, we're grown men with thick skins. We can handle it. If you have constructive criticism, so much the better, or praise, so much the better. But you know, every once in a while you see somebody throw either a like or a dislike, and you think to yourself, well, what did they like? What did they dislike? So sometimes, you know, the comments are nice. We love seeing them, and we will respond if you ask us a question or recommend a movie you want to see us review. So please, we're talking about that just before we were starting our YouTube talk tonight. Dom and I were both talking about how we love the comments, and we wish there were more. So please feel free to comment. And again, you know, hey, we're tough. If you want to throw whatever you want to throw, we love the praise if we get that. But if you got criticism or whatever, just throw it at us. We can handle it. So Dom, with that, I think we can probably call this one a week and say we'll
It's a
see you
wrap.
guys next week. Thank you all for being here. And that's it, guys. See you next week.